For those of you with a few years of data engineering experience, you probably faced these two questions. Why is this work so tedious and repetitive? Why am I continually seem to be recreating boilerplate for the same design patterns over and over again? After all, data is just represented by tables with columns and rows. It's not super complex, so transforming and consolidating it shouldn't be that challenging, right? The root issue, in my view, is the lack of reusable data transformation code. Each data pipeline tends to be unique, often requiring custom development from scratch. This eventually leads to exponential growth in code volume and complexity within your data platform, often culminating in the complete rebuild of the platform every few years. Hi, I'm Vadim Orlov, CTO and co-founder of DataForge, and in this video I'm going to showcase DataForge Cloud features that help you build and promote reusable code architecture. If you haven't yet, please read my linked blog first for additional context that will help you understand the content better. Now let's dive in. Let's start with rule templates. So for this example, I'm going to pull data from imaginary electronic point of sale system. I already pre-configured the connection, so it looks like this. It reads data from the SQL server and connection metadata already pulled. So for simplicity's sake, it's just limited to 3 tables here. And we're going to select them all and click create sources. And we'll just use the table name as a source name. I'm also going to check create relations and pull the data. And everything should be pulling now. Yeah, you can see the data starts pulling already. While it's running, let me open the one of the sources and show you the schema real quick. So because we pulled it from SQL Server, we imported all the foreign key, primary key relationships, and because of that we are able to create this graph here. So that kind of gives you the idea. So this is the line items at the bottom, order detail, order header is all the data about the order, things like customer ID, etc. And then finally the top one is the customer table for the order. So pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I want to create a new rule. My business analysts asked me to create a rule which will calculate how many days passed since the last update of the record. Okay, so I'm going to start here on the order header table. I'm going to go to the rules, create new rule, and it's pretty simple rule. So I will use, let's call it last update days, and then we'll use modified date here, and wrapping this into the date div function, which will calculate the number of days between now and modified date. So it's validated to integer data type, everything is good. So I'm going to save this, click recalculate, and now I'm going to check the next source, the detail, order detail, and in the raw schema I see that there is also modified date, and then the customer also has the same attribute. So I can apply this expression to all 3 data sets, and let me show you how to do this. So going back to the header, then the rule I just created, I'm going to click on this rule and click this button, convert to template. It opens up the new window, which looks nearly identical to the rule settings, but there is one extra attribute here, is the test source, which is pre-selected with the source and the test button. So this gives me ability to validate the expression, make sure it's correct syntactically, and determine the data type. Everything is good, so I'm going to click save and apply, and here's my first template. So and it's already applied to this order header source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it to remaining sources. So select these 2 sources, click apply, and now my rule template is applied to all 3 sources. So if I go to the customer, for example, you can see that this template has been applied as a rule, which is read-only. You can only edit it at the template level, but you can view it. So it basically behaves like a regular rule, except it's centrally managed, if you will. Okay. So pretty cool. Going back to the header, checking my data real quick, make sure everything is good. And I'm going to look at the sample data. And one thing I noticed is here's my attribute, that I made a mistake in the formula because everything is negative here. Okay. So going back now to my templates, so I can go find the template that I just made. And here I can change the expression and fix this. So I can just reverse the order of this to arguments. And also I want to check keep current because I want this to be updated every time I ingest the data. Tests, everything is good, save. And let's see what happened now. So I clicked, let's click on the header again. You can see this rule has been updated. So the order of arguments is reversed. The keep current flag is checked. So if I go and click recalculate now, once it finishes, we should be able to see the results. And I'm going to do this the same for the other sources as well. So let's recalculate here. And should be done. So header is running. Once it finishes, yeah, it's just finished. So if I go and look at the data now, my update dates is accurate. Okay. So to summarize what I just showed you, the rule template allows you to create one transformation at the columnar level and apply this to multiple data sets, as many as you want. And there you can manage it in one place, but apply it as easier with an easy click of the button, essentially, right? So instead of having hundreds of rules which look the same and just copy pasting them, you have a single piece of code which is applied and managed by the system from one central location. I'm back at the order detail dataset, and I'm going to add a couple more rules. So first one, let's call it sale price. And this will calculate actual sale price minus the discount. So we have this discount attribute here, and this is the formula. So just subtract the discount. So calculates decimal, save, and we'll add one more. We'll use the sale price which we just created and multiply this by quantity. So that gives us the total price of for the line item. We'll call it sale total and save. And I'm going to convert this to a template because this formula seems to be pretty universal. So let's convert this to templates, test, save and apply. Okay, now back to my source. Here we go. So it's template now. Everything looks good. Finally, I'm going to configure an output for this. So this is my business analyst asked me to create a table for her to run the report on sales. So I'm going to create an output, create a new output, call it sales. And we'll call the table sales. We'll make it a table, and we'll use Delta Lake format for this. put this in this template schema, save. Going to map this order detail source to that, add all columns, and I'm going to create a new column, call it customer name, and then map this field from not from this source but from the customer source. So we have a customer name, and you can see the system automatically determines the joins for me. So save that. Cool. So now I can just go back to my source here, detail, and click recalculate, and wait a little bit. And when it's done, should be able to see all those attributes calculated and written into my output table. So looks like it's almost there. Now going to Databricks, this is our sales table, which we just created. Open sales sample data, you see the sales price column is calculated, the sales total is calculated, and my customer name exists. So everything looks great for the sales dashboard. The table which we created looked great. Business analyst completed the report and users are happy. But the next day, my manager comes in and announces that we acquired a new subsidiary, and it's using their similar electronic point of sale system, but it's hosted on a different server and database. And he wants me to configure the new feed from that electronic point of sale. So let's look into how groups and cloning feature in DataForge Cloud helps me with that. First, let me outline the requirements. So the new system will have feeds for order detail and order header, which we'll need to clone, but the customers will stay in a centralized database. So these are the two data sets which we will be feeding that need to be cloned based on the configurations which are already created. Okay, so let's start with creating templates for the source names. So they live here, and it's pretty simple. I'll explain in a second what this means. So template is just the source name. Template is how you want to name your source. So it must have the group token, which again I'll explain in a minute. So we'll just call it group or a header, and another one group order detail. Okay, and then groups live here, and group basically is a collection of objects, pre-configured objects on your platform, which you use mainly for cloning. It's kind of analogous to the module in the software engineering, right? So when you have a library or a module, you can that you can import in your project later on and then tweak and in use later on. Okay, so let's make a new group, call it company 1. That will be our existing company. Okay, and now I'm gonna go to the sources, for these two sources, and we'll change them so they are part of that group now. Okay, so I'm gonna pick the company group, pick the templates, so pretty straightforward. Save, then do the same for the other source. Okay, so what happened now is you can see that my sources are now part of the group. Okay, and the last thing I need to make is change the connection, because connection is also going to change for once I clone. So before cloning, I'm going to go to connections. So let's find the connection for that this sources use. and change it so it's part of the same group. So let's call it company 1. And template is, I already created a template for the connection, looks similar to the source name template, so pick that. And now you can see that my connection name is using a group token as well. Everything looks great. Save it. Okay, and one last look at the sources before we actually go and click the clone button. Everything looks great. Go to the groups list and click clone. And all I need to do is just define the name for the new company. So what I'm going to do is replicate these two data sets along with all the configurations. And it's going to point to the new connection that will also be cloned. So let's call it company 2 and click clone. Take a few seconds. And once that finishes, I can go back to my sources, and now I can see there are two data sets which have been cloned. They have different name now, company 2, part of a company 2 group. And if I open the settings, I can see that we also cloned the connection. Okay, so the connection looks different now. And the only thing I need to do manually here is to enter the sensitive parameters, okay, which I'm going to do. I updated the connection and we can pull the data now. So let's do that. Let's pull data from these two sources. And while it's pulling, I'll outline what that clone operation actually entails. So if we look at the order detail that has been cloned and look at all the rules, you can see that every rule that we created in the original dataset has been replicated here. And if you look at the output that I created previously, you can see that that second company dataset was added as a channel to that output. So the way it works, it will be union together with the first dataset, which is exactly what is required for the reporting in this case. Okay, so let's go back to the source. Looks like it just finished processing. I'm gonna check the data real quick, make sure everything is good. Looking at the data for the data set, I noticed immediately that my sale price and sale total are nulls. And if I look at the calculation here, those kind of come from unit price and unit price discount. And if I look at the unit price is populated, but unit price discounts is all blank. Okay, and my business analyst tells me that the unit price discount is actually carried on the header data set. So if I look at the header here and open the schema and search for discount, it's right here. That's the attribute I should be using. Okay, so that pretty simple change. I'm going to go to my detail, find that rule which calculates it, and just update it. So instead of this attribute, I'm going to use sales order header discount. Okay, save. Now I can recalculate, and once it recalculates, I should be able to see the accurate data in my table. Okay, it's recalculated. Let's open the data, refresh, and sale total is accurate now, and everything is good. One last thing I'm going to do is to add the company name into that output table. So to do that, I'll first create a template here. Let's create a new template and let's pick the source. Let's call it company name. And for the expression, we'll just use a group token. Okay, and wrap it into single quotes, tests. So it's just a string, save, and I'm gonna link it to these two data sets. Okay, apply. And it looks like this. So both of these data sets, original one and the cloned one, now have this attribute which just has a string with a company name. Okay, pretty simple, but it will help us with the report to identify which order came from which subsidiary. So I'm going to go to output now and tweak that output by adding the new column. Let's call it the company name. Save, and click automap, and it maps it to the company name field which I just created. And now we can reset outputs for this. So let's do that. Set this, and we'll set this as well. And once it finishes, we should be able to see the correct data in our output table. Okay, output is completed. Looking at the table, sample data, I can confirm that company 2 is now flowing in, and customer name, sale total, and other attributes are populated. And just to quickly confirm, I'm going to run this query, which gives me record counts for both companies, and you can see that data from both companies are flowing in and is available in my reporting table. To summarize, the cloning feature I just demonstrated allows you to quickly configure multiple data feeds from the source platforms, which are substantially similar but differ in small ways, right? It allows you to save copy pasting large chunks of code and then trying to figure out what's different, and enables you to manage configurations which are identical in one centralized location via rule templates, but also gives you a mechanism to tweak what's different via individual rules and individual data sets. This is very similar to the module concept used in programming, and modules is an equivalent of a group in this example. You basically import a module and then you override or tweak individual or add individual configurations via mixins, and in this case mixin is rule or rule template. Okay, this really promotes do not repeat yourself principle and reusable code architecture, and avoids you to really consolidate your code base and make sure it does not become the spaghetti code. Okay, hope you find this useful. Please check out the blog again, and check out our website, and sign up for a free demo if you're interested to try it yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.